Linda owns a home in Legend Oaks, which is obviously in southwest Austin, and a pretty decent market. It's right near Circle C, so it's a pretty hot market. Home's been on the market for more than 90 days and has little activity. What do you think? Why do you think it has not sold? So here's what I see, talking to lots of sellers, is a big misperception. I want to get Perry and your impressions, Mark. They think just because it's hot that anything will sell. And because in this market people are working sometimes with their agent friend who doesn't do a lot of business, and for no other reason than they don't have a lot of transactional experience, they'll just put it on at a price to guess at. And I know that, Mark, you and I work with a lot of previously listed properties, so we see this a lot. So what Linda's experiencing is, if you're in Legend Oaks and you're sitting there for 90 days, I have bad news for you, Linda. You're overpriced. Somebody did not give you a candid opinion on what your house is worth. What do you think, Mark?
No, I would agree, Kevin, because it moves so quickly in there. We've sold a lot of homes in Legend Oaks, and I had a seller with that same scenario. We took over their listing, and it expired with another agent, and we sold it in a matter of days. What I find in my pricing strategy, and obviously we study the numbers every week, if you're 1% to 2% below the market average, you're going to, or whatever the comparative market analysis says, it's going to sell very quickly. And if you've got a strong agent, a strong negotiator, which should be the number one thing you're hiring, that agent should be able to negotiate that 1% to 2% back for you very easily. But it's, any agent cannot negotiate when there's no offers. The key is to get offers and multiple offers and then negotiate up. So absolutely, Kevin, price is everything. Even though the market can be as strong as you want, but the appreciation in Austin has consistently only been 1% to 2% a year. So that's the great thing about our market, is it's consistent. We just have to be priced properly.
Absolutely. Now, Perry, any thoughts on this, or you just want to concur with us?
Well, I completely agree with what you guys said there, but I also think we have a responsibility to our sellers to give them really hard reality above and beyond price. And sometimes that means you've got to box up some stuff and make the place show better. Sometimes that means you've got to take new pictures. Sometimes that means you need to expand your advertising base. And we're talking about if you have a fair price and fits along with the guidelines. We've got to make sure that it doesn't smell like cat. And if it does smell like cat, we have to tell people that it's time to clean up the cat smell. Those are things that will prevent a house from selling very quickly or not showing as well as it really could.
In Perry, too, to touch on that, you mentioned photography, and in Linda's question, she's had little activity, which means she's had very few showings. The majority of the buyers are on the Internet looking at your house before they ever even call an agent. And if the photography is not top-notch, I know you do, Perry, we use a professional photographer that also goes in and touches up the photos and makes this house really pop online. That's what makes people say, hey, I want to look at that house. That's huge.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and the reality is what Perry's saying is absolutely correct. There's really two main drivers. I mean, if we take market conditions out, be by price range or area, and we just assume that, okay, we're in a hot market, and Legend Oaks certainly qualifies.
Absolutely.
It's price and condition. Price and condition are these two drivers. So what Linda's got to think about is, I've got a pricing issue, and she very well may have, as Perry said, a condition issue. In other words, it's not showing as well. But when I see things like we've had a little activity, which means there's probably not a lot of showings, she's probably 3-5% or more overpriced. And every once in a while you'll see these things where you just scratch your head, it's $50,000, $75,000 overpriced, even in areas like Legend Oaks, and they're just like, well, I don't understand, other things have sold. And then, like Perry and you have both said, you just got to tell them the truth. And maybe she's not a real seller, maybe she is, but that tends to be a problem in hot markets. It doesn't happen as much as when the markets are down, but they get frustrated because things are selling. And we can kind of touch this into the next question from Carlos. This is another problem. You get these people coming in from out of state. They think they're a distressed property or distressed real estate buyer for Austin, which means they want foreclosures, they want short sales, they want discounts. And Carlos looks like he's frustrated. He wants to know where he should look. I'll give my opinion. You got to be really realistic in what you're going to buy, realistic in what kind of price discount you expect versus retail, and stick to the areas that are going to be strong. The old, real estate investment modicum of you're going to buy real low, turn around and flip it and sell it high, I don't believe works real well in Austin. You might be able to buy a good rental property or property you can fix up in the southeast Austin area. I'm certainly seeing a lot of people buy down there, but you got to be ready to be in a market where, because our market is fairly tight on rentals, you got to buy right. And I don't see this as a great market for fixing and flipping, in terms of rentals. Any thoughts, guys?
Well, my dad was in the real estate business for a long time, and he passed down a couple of things for me. He gave me two really good ideas that I still incorporate today. If you want to buy in a neighborhood and you want a good deal, you drive around the neighborhood, and the house that looks the most run down, the one that hadn't cut their grass in 2 months, is the one that you leave the personal note on that says, hey, I'm looking to buy a house in this neighborhood, and yours looks cute on the outside. Do you know anybody who's selling? That usually gets you a phone call back, and sometimes you can pick up a good deal through that. It's not guaranteed. And the other idea that he always used to tell me is to start up a foundation company.